We're going to look at our first example for simplifying quotient expressions using quotient identities. First example says to simplify tangent of theta times cotangent of theta. So we're multiplying two trig functions. The real question is, how can we simplify them if they're multiplying each other? Well, there's two ways to do this problem. I'm going to show you both ways. The first one I'm going to show you is the way that always works, no matter what. And I've learned this teaching over the years. The first thing you want to do for step one is to turn everything into sine and cosine. I promise you it's going to make your life easier. Now, if you say a simpler way to do it and you know it's going to work, go ahead and do that. Okay, but like I said, this always works. And if it always works, I would recommend doing it that way at first until you get really good at it. So what do I mean by turning everything into sine and cosine? Well, recall that tangent is just sine over cosine. We just learned that when we learned the quotient identity. Okay, we also learned that cotangent is cosine over sine. So I'm just going to replace those with what they are in terms of sine and cosine. The reason this step always works is because everything can be turned into sine and cosine. Sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent, all can be written in terms of sine and cosine. And for that reason, that's what we want to do first. Because now that everything's sine and cosine, I have only two trig functions to work with, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to simplify this. So again, I turn tangent to sine over cosine based on that quotient identity. From this chart I have right here, you can quickly use this reference chart if you want. And then I turn cotangent into cosine over sine. Of course, you are expected to memorize these. The second and final step, and this is an easy lesson because it's only two steps. The second step is to simplify. So if I have sine over cosine times cosine over sine, I can cross cancel the cosines, I can cross cancel the sines, and I'm left with 1. I have just proven then the answer to my question, tangent times cotangent, is just equal to 1. Now I will show you the easy way of doing this, and perhaps you've already seen this. How would you do this an easier way? Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to remember the reciprocal identity for tangent. Tangent is 1 over cotangent, right? And I can write theta or whatever, it doesn't matter. So if I replace that with 1 over cotangent, I can quickly see that that will cancel with the cotangent up there. If you don't see that, you can see that the cotangent's over 1, and 1 over 1 equals 1. So either way works, but again, for me, if you turn everything as sine into cosine, it will always work. The second way that I just did this, using that reciprocal identity, will not always work, especially when you get to some of the more complex problems. But this is the easiest way, and if you did happen to see that, congratulations. By all means, use that. If you have any other questions about this example, let me know.